Let's review.
Social studies. The common cause of wars and conflicts among nations is A. Religious intolerance, B. Diplomatic problem, C. Territorial dispute, D. Ideological differences. Religious intolerance involves acts denying the right of people of another religious faith to practice and express their beliefs freely. Religious intolerance is expressed in discrimination, repression and religious rivalry, and results from persecution. It leads to war and persistent hatred between nations and between peoples within nations. Diplomatic problem. Diplomacy is the art and science of maintaining peaceful relationships between nations, groups, or individuals. Often, diplomacy refers to representatives of different groups discussing such issues as conflict, trade, the environment, technology, or maintaining security. If you say that someone is diplomatic, you mean that the person is able to control a difficult situation without upsetting anyone. When one is undiplomatic or acting in a way that causes other people to be upset, hurt, or annoyed will cause bigger issues. A territorial dispute is a disagreement between two or more states about which state exercises sovereignty over a certain part of territory. Territorial disputes frequently result in diplomatic, economic and military tensions between two or more states. Ideological differences occur when two or more groups clash between ideologies or ideas. Examples of ideologies include liberalism, conservatism, socialism, communism, theocracy, agrarianism, totalitarianism, colonialism, and globalism. Ideological differences are more likely to emerge in attitudes characterized by threat, complexity, morality, political ideology, religious ideology, or harm. Based on these definitions, the best answer is A. Religious intolerance is common cause of wars and conflicts among nations. Filipino.
Tuldukwit ang bantas na ginagamit sa paghihiwalay ng mga A. Pangungusap, B. Salita, C. Sugnay, D. Parirala. Tuldukwit ang ginagamit sa pagitan ng magkakaugnay ng mga mahalagang sangkap ng isang mahabang pangungusap. Karaniwang ginagamit ito pagkatapos ng mga sugnay na ang kasunod ay mga salitang kaya, sa makatwid, gayon din, gayon man, anupat, bukod. Ayon sa nabanggit, ang sagot dito ay sugnay.
Science. Conduction is to solid, as radiation is to A. gas, B. plasma, C. liquid, D. serum. The matter is present around us, in three states, solid, liquid and gas. The conversion of matter from one state to another is termed as a change in state, that takes place due to the exchange of heat between the matter and its surroundings. So, heat is the transition of energy from one system to another, due to the difference in temperature, which occurs in three different ways, that are conduction, convection and radiation. Conduction is the transfer of heat energy by direct contact, convection is the movement of heat by actual motion of matter, and radiation is the transfer of energy with the help of electromagnetic waves. Radiation occurs when heat travels through empty space. Radiation takes place through the vacuum of space and does not heat up the intervening medium. Whenever you feel heat without actually touching the object, it is because of radiation. Hot objects generally emit thermal energy to cooler surroundings. Radiant energy is capable of traveling in the vacuum from its source to the cooler surroundings. The best example of radiation is solar energy that we get from the sun, even though it is miles away from us. The transfer of energy by radiation works best with gases. The particles in gases are much farther apart than in solids or liquids. This extra space allows the radiant energy to travel more easily through gases. So the answer is A. Gas. English. Since Rizal's novels revealed a hidden meaning which was socio-political, they can be classified as A. Ode, B. Sonnet, C. Allegory, D. Elegy. Ode is a lyrical poetic form which addresses and celebrates a person, place, thing, or idea. Stanzas and tone may vary depending on the author. One of the most famous odes is John Keats' Ode on a Grecian Urn. Sonnet is a fixed verse poem that has 14 lines and often is about a feeling of idea. Sonnet 18, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? Is one of Shakespeare's most famous sonnets. Allegory is a story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one. Pilgrim's Progress is an allegory of the spiritual journey. Elegy is a sad poem expressing sadness for someone who has died. Examples of elegy poems include O Captain, My Captain by Walt Whitman, Stop All the Clocks by W. H. Auden, and E. E. Cummings' My Father Moved Through Dooms of Love. Rizal's novels that revealed a hidden meaning is classified as C. Allegory. Mathematics. To express that there is no significant difference between the food intake of office workers and the food intake of a group of teachers is AH0x1 equals x2, BHx1 is not equal to x2, CHx1 equals x2, DH0x1 is not equal to x2. Hypothesis testing, sometimes called significance testing, is an act in statistics whereby an analyst tests an assumption regarding a population parameter or a population probability. The process of hypothesis testing begins by stating a hypothesis about the unknown population. Actually, we state two opposing hypotheses. The first hypothesis we state, the most important one, is the null hypothesis, or in short the H0. The null hypothesis states that the treatment has no effect. In general, the null hypothesis states that there is no change, no difference, no effect, and otherwise no relationship between the independent and dependent variables. Because we are hypothesizing that nothing is happening, it is called the null hypothesis. Example: all dogs have 4 legs. There is no difference in the number of legs dogs have. The second hypothesis we state is the alternative hypothesis, or in short H. The alternative hypothesis is the opposite of the null, and states that the treatment does have an effect on the dependent variable. In the general population there is a change, a difference, or a relationship. Example: 20% of dogs have only 3 legs. Notice that the equality symbols are always with the null hypotheses. Let's now solve the problem. We will assign a variable for the two parameters x1 for the food intake of office workers and x2 for the food intake of a group of teachers. The stated hypothesis is that there is no significant difference between the two population. To express this, we will write H0, x1 equals x2, so the answer is A. Follow our social media for part 4.